We're gonna see how long better ones. Okay, does it work?
Check, check. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Check.
2 minutes from now, I'll get it. Never quite on it in the morning. So this is just the sign up for the handouts. I've got 3 handouts I'm going to send out hopefully by Monday. So if there's one on this kind of class, again, it's just a recap of what Eric's going to talk about. So if you miss something, it'll kind of hopefully be in the handout. Container gardening. I know a lot of people container garden, so I'll have a handout on that as we hit our season. And then kind of hummingbird and butterfly plants, and buds bloom, kind of thought it would match. And so that's going to be the handouts. So sign up here. Again, if your garden care member in our computer system doesn't correlate, because we don't send it out to everyone, so send it here and just write, as neatly as you can for me. I get 6's, B's. I'm like my father's daughter. I get everything confused if I can't read it. Cursive's, I can read it. It's a little iffy for me, okay? So, getting there. But yeah, this is it.
Yep. Howdy.
Oh, he's been around. He's been here for years. I think you're going on 10 or 11 at this point. So if you can't get rid of him, so keep him around. Yeah, he knows his stuff. He knows everything about the middle section. He takes care of our fountains. He knows if you ever have questions about bird bath fountains, what it's made of, how it's taken care of. He's your guy. So that's why I thought he'd be good for his class today.
Yeah.
There. I'll get his mic.
All right. So, well, thank you, Mackenzie. Coming up here in about 2 weeks, it will be a full 10 years of me since I started here. I started back in high school at my junior year of high school. It was I was just a kid loading mulch into the back of your cars. Worked all the way through high school, all the way through college. I went to Embry-Riddle here in town. After college, moved away, did the big contract thing out in California. Realized I didn't want to spend the rest of my life living out of hotels. Oh, there we go.
You hear you loud and clear.
Check. There we go. Maybe a little too loud. So, contracts ended. Came back because Prescott's home. In the meantime, came in to say hi to everyone, the Waters family, and they asked if I wanted to work a little bit in the meantime. That was a couple years ago now, and here I am going on 10 years. So, and I also just wanted to say, kind of before we get into this, I do consider teaching these classes to be a privilege. This is, if I had my druthers, public speaking isn't quite my thing, but I do, Prescott's home for me. Working here, I have skin in the game because these are plants that I can recommend. I can drive around town and see trees that I said, 5 years ago, hey, that tree could look good in your yard here. And to see it now, 5, 10 years later, see what those trees and plants and landscapes have become, it's really, really rewarding. So it's a blessing for me to be here. So thank you all for showing up. And we'll go ahead and get right into it. So just a little kind of brief overview of the class. Going to start off just going over a bit of a spring to-do list, things that if you haven't done yet, now's the time to go ahead and start getting them done. From there, we'll move into some plants. We'll start from there, we'll go into products, talk about some of the pertinent things to be doing in your yard this time of year, some of the products that are going to help you and help your plants thrive this season. And then from there, we'll go into trees. We'll kind of start big, then shrubs, and work our way down all the way to little annuals and perennials. So should be a real good one. So starting right off with kind of the spring to-do list. Now is the time to prune. We always say late February to early March is going to be the best time of year to prune. This is going to be rose bushes, trees if you haven't yet. If you want to do a bit of shaping, Most of your shrubs, you can go ahead, do your shaping now, just prune it up. Roses, you can go ahead and cut back. The only two things that kind of come to mind that you probably shouldn't be pruning right now are going to be forsythia, because these guys are in full bloom right now, and then lilacs. Here's one and here's one, sorry. Both of those are just starting to bud out, so hold off before you prune those. But grasses, roses, trees, shrubs, most of those are fair game. We always say late February, early March. It's kind of right in the sweet spot, especially on a day like today. We've got some real nice weather this past week, and I know next week we're starting to cool off a little bit, but it should still be pretty nice. So yeah, pruning is a huge thing right now. Another big thing is, I know it's been a relatively dry winter, but still means that the weeds are going to be coming up here in another couple weeks to a month. If you want to get ahead of that game, kind of prevent the weeds from popping up like crazy, now is a great time to go ahead and spread down some of the pre-emergent. This stuff here, the turf and ornamental weed and grass stopper. It's a granular. All you have to do is spread it down on top of your soil or anywhere that you don't want plants to germinate. I have a gravel driveway, so I put this down over the gravel driveway. Just keeps the weeds at bay, keeps them from popping up as we start getting the weeds in the spring. So highly recommend doing some of this now, and then you can do a little bit more later on, kind of right before monsoon season, because that's the other time of year that we tend to get more moisture here in Prescott. So I do see a couple hands coming up. It is a very full class, so if you can, try and save your questions till the end of it. But I'll see one back there. Go ahead. So good question. She asked if this was safe for dogs. You don't want your dog to get into it. You don't want it to go ahead and start eating the whole thing. After you spread it down, I always recommend just going out with the hose, watering it in pretty deep. Just give it a good soak. That will start the breakdown process because it's just a granular. After you do that, you should be all clear to let your critters roam. So, and then I saw one question over here as well. Is that okay to put like around a tree, like a couple feet off the trunk? Yes. So he asked if this is safe to put down around a tree. So to answer the question, yes. What's nice about this product is that it will not harm or stop any plant that's already germinated or come up. This only prevents plants from germinating. So that's why we call it the pre-emergent. You put it down before the weeds start popping up in the springtime. So awesome. Okay, so that's that. Let's see, what do we want to go into next? Kind of going along soil. Humic acid. This stuff is fantastic. Highly recommend putting some of this down now. This is great to help kind of get your beds established, or you can use it for raised beds. You can put it down under trees. You can use it for lawns. A lot of times we'll have folks come in with yellow spots in their lawn where say their dog likes to go potty or whatnot. This is fantastic at helping to just bring nutrients back into the soil, kind of wakes up the soil, which in turn really, really helps out the plants. So now's a great time of year to put this down. You can use it just about anywhere and everywhere. Raised beds, flower pots, and cool thing too. So humic acid, growing up, my dad always had the big stinky compost bin. What humic acid is it's basically the derivative, what you're trying to get out of that big stinky compost bin, but it's already pelletized, granular. It doesn't smell. It's real pleasant to use. You just sprinkle it down. This is fantastic stuff. So yeah, just helps out the soil, promotes health. Yeah, go ahead and get a picture of that. So perfect. Okay, now going into actual soil. Anytime you plant something new in the ground, whether it's a tree, shrub, grass, just about anything you see up here, if it's going in the ground, highly recommend using some of the mulch. This is our soil amendment. This is what we formulated specifically for this area. Anyone who's dug a hole here in this Tri-City area knows that we've got a whole lot of clay, a whole lot of rock. And plants really do not like their roots going right into that. So this is a good amendment. It helps break up that native soil, helps add some air. It's kind of a lighter, fluffier medium. Just really good stuff to get the plants established a bit quicker. So if it's going in the ground, use some mulch. We recommend mixing 1 part mulch to 2 parts of the native soil for, say, any tree that you plant or shrub or anything in between. So now, alternatively, if you're planting in a raised bed or a container, potting soil is going to be the best medium to use. Whether you're doing veggies or just a big pot with who knows what, it could be anything, but potting soil, this is really good stuff. Again, we formulated this one specifically for our area, you know, keeping in mind that we get some real warm summers here. This is really good at retaining moisture for those hot summer days in dark color pottery, etc. So yeah, this is fantastic stuff to use. Another nice thing about this product specifically is it's got a real basic 555 fertilizer built into it. Those numbers, the 555, that corresponds to the NPK, which hopefully most of you are kind of familiar with. If not, feel free to ask me some questions after class and I can go a bit deeper into that. So perfect. So that's the soil. While we're kind of talking about fertilizers, this here, our 744, is our all-purpose fertilizer. This is good for everything in your yard that's green or grows. You can use it for trees, you can use it for shrubs, you can use it for lawns, anything and everything. This is fantastic. It's a slow release granular, so you just spread it down on top of the soil. You don't even have to get down in there and dig or anything like that. You just sprinkle it on top of the soil. And then as we get precipitation or as you water, it will start that breakdown process. And we recommend using it about 4 times a year. To make it easy, we kind of go off the holidays. So we'll say Easter, 4th of July, Halloween, and Christmas, New Year's. Although you can use it, you could go ahead and spread it down now. If you haven't fertilized yet, please give your plants some fertilizer. This will really help them kind of wake up, get ready for the spring. And if you use it now, just wait about another 3 months, and that'll be the next time to use it. So fantastic stuff. A little bit of this does go a long ways. Highly recommend doing this for anything in your yard that grows. Your plants will really thank you. So now, this one was so popular, and this is a product that we formulated specifically for this area. One of the things that sets this apart from any of the other fertilizers that you can get is here in Prescott, we have very, very alkaline soil. Our soil is alkaline, our water is alkaline. Plants, just about any plant prefers to be more on the acidic side. This is designed specifically to help bring that pH level a little bit back down, put the soil more in range of what the plants actually want to grow in, which you don't get that with your synthetic plant stakes or any of the other fertilizers on the market. This is fantastic stuff for this Tri-City area. So this stuff was so good that we've made one specifically for fruit and veggies. What sets the fruit and veggie fertilizer apart from the all-purpose is that this one has added calcium. Those 3 numbers that I mentioned earlier, the NPK analysis for fertilizer, if you look at the bag, this has 4 numbers. That extra number on the back is calcium. Anything that fruits, whether it's a tomato or a peach tree or anything in between, calcium is how you get big, strong, bold fruit. If the plant is deficient in calcium, it won't produce as it should. So giving it some of this will really help out. Now this product, we recommend using about once every 45 days throughout the growing season. So really good stuff. Now would be a great time to go ahead and spread some of this down if you haven't yet. Yep. Yes.
I will say a lot of people ask me about the 744 for the native stuff, because there is a lot of research out there that says don't give your natives anything, don't help them, they're fine. Not here. You have to help them a little bit. They don't take a lot, but this fertilizer is low enough that they can take it up without overwhelming it. Because they're slow lumbering giants. They take a sec to bring up fertilizer. So to your 10-10-10 can be really, it can almost just leave as fast as you put it down for your native guys. So this is what I prefer for anything established, older, been around forever, because they can just pick it up easier. It's not gonna, go into your well water. It's not gonna leak into their groundwater, but they can pick it up. So it's just one thing. You gotta help your things out, but do a low fertilizer.
Yes. So.
That's
Yep. Yeah. And it's organic. It's just a real good product.
That's all natural.
Yes.
The other ones are organic.
So.
It's got bone meal. It can't be organic.
Okay. So perfect. All right. Now, kind of sticking along with fertilizers, we don't really sell it as a fertilizer. This is our flower power. This stuff is phenomenal. Anytime you have something that's flowering, you can give it some of this and it will really help to boost those blooms. I've kept pansies going months later than you usually see pansies going for by using this stuff. It's phenomenal. You can use it for anything that flowers. Some folks will even use it for, say, tomatoes, because the more blooms you get on a tomato plant, the more tomatoes you're going to get. So really good stuff. What's nice about this too, it's super easy to use. Just a little scoop in here. It's a powder. So just one scoop in with your watering can. If it's a 1 gallon watering can, just water it, use it about once every 2 weeks. This will really, really help with bloom production. Oh, here we go. Yep. Awesome. So that's the flower power. One other kind of flowering fertilizer that we sell is this rose and flower food. This is a real popular one. What's nice about this is rose and flower food plus systemic. This systemic that you see in here, this is a insecticide. So for anyone who, we get it all the time, people will have big, huge rose gardens, but every single year, as soon as they start to bloom, the thrip come. Thrips are those tiny, nasty little insects that, you'll start getting those rose buds. They'll stay like this and they just won't open. And you're wondering what's going on with it. That's thrip. So this will help to prevent that, and it will kill off anything that's trying to chew on that plant insect-wise. So this is real good stuff. You're kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. So highly recommend this. We have this in 2 different size bags. We do have the larger size bag if you are one of those folks with the huge rose garden or just about anything else that flowers. So awesome stuff. Okay. Now, anytime you're actually planting something new in the ground, root and grow. This is phenomenal, whether it's a tree, a shrub. I even use this for my houseplants. I use it sparingly, but you can use this for just about anything. It's a compost tea, and what this does, it just helps reduce that plant shock. Anytime you plant something or transplant something, it's a stressful time for that. The roots are kind of going to shock. The whole plant will get stunted, and this just helps kind of alleviate the stress associated with that. This is really good stuff. We recommend using it once every 2 weeks, kind of until the plant starts to get established again or really starts to take off for you. Super easy to use. A little bit goes a long ways. Just 2 ounces, mix it in with a gallon of water. You can, for large trees, you've got a big old tree, you can do it in a 5-gallon bucket. So fantastic stuff. We've got 2 different sizes of this, but this will help anytime you plant something new or transplant. So, and you can also use it, heat of the summer when plants are stressed out. Give it some of this. It'll kind of help alleviate some of that stress. So, all right. Now, let's see. We'll kind of go a little bit into insects. As I mentioned with this fertilizer plus systemic, insects, as the plants are starting to wake up, so are the insects. So a couple things to help alleviate, things to get kind of ahead of the game with. The best thing you can do right now, horticultural oil. This stuff is awesome. It's all organic. It's a oil that you spray. A lot of times folks will hear this referred to as a dormant oil, horticultural oil. There's a couple different names it goes by. You can call it anything you want, but main thing is this stuff, you spray it down now. You can use it anytime up until we really start to warm up. Kind of the cutoff for using this tends to be around 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Some folks will say a little bit lower, some say higher. but usually around 80 degrees is kind of when you want to stop using this. But what this does, you spray it on now, and this will actually smother the larva of any of the insects that had stuck around over the winter and over the previous season. This goes, it's just a good preventative. So it'll kind of stop the insects in their tracks. It really, really helps to go a long ways. Yep. So, yes, here we go. So, horticultural oil or dormant spray. So, really good preventative, get ahead of the bugs. Another thing you can use as a preventative, this is a little bit more pertinent for, say, your large evergreens, although you can use this for just about anything. It's called the tree and shrub drench. It actually uses the same active ingredient as this product here. This is just a liquid systemic, usually travels a little bit quicker up into the tree. Our main kind of seller or main use for this is preventing or helping to kill off bark beetle. Any of the borers, anything that gets inside of those trees, this will kill off. So fantastic stuff. One application will last inside the tree for a full calendar year. So you do it now, you don't have to worry about anything else getting in the tree. So just good preventative maintenance. Or if you do look at your tree and you see a bunch of sap coming out somewhere along the trunk and you're saying, hey, what's that? Chances are you got something boring into the tree. Anytime you see a trunk that's pushing out a lot of sap, it's usually indicative of something inside of that tree, and the tree's natural reaction is to use its sap and just kind of push that out. So yeah, this is phenomenal stuff to use, good preventative, and it'll kill off just about anything you want to, insect-wise. So, yes. So, one other thing, just to kind of help as far as planting, this will really go a long ways during the summer, Aqua Boost. This is a polymer that we formulated here at Waters, or I should say Ken and Lisa have. What this does, it's a kind of natural polymer that can hold 200 times its weight in water. You can mix this down in your pots during the heat of the summer. This can really help alleviate excess watering, or if you ever get tomatoes that, you know, the fruit starts to crack and you're wondering, why is it cracking? It's because most of the time, you know, as the plant gets watered, the tomato will start to fill up, kind of swell, because it's got all that extra moisture. And then later on, say pot afternoon, as the moisture gets kind of pushed out or dried up, the plant or the tomato will start to contract. And that excess, or just the swelling and contraction leads to the cracking. This will go a long ways to help mitigate. So Aqua Boost crystals, really good stuff. So, okay, sorry, I spent more time talking about product than I planned on. Yes.
So I'll stay with that. No, we're good. Oh. So this feels like a lot of product maybe, but if anyone's gardened here at all, which I know a lot of you have, or if you're new to it, Arizona needs help. Our gardens need help. Our water's harsh, our ground is clay. So you need to do more here than you would California, Midwest. So don't be afraid to throw some stuff down or try it, because you just have way better success. You'll have things that live longer. I want you to succeed and change to start, because I don't want you to be discouraged when things kind of die, because you're going to lose some things. That's gardening. But I just want to put like this. Talk to anyone who's been here before. Like they can attest to this stuff. And I just try one thing to start. Start with fertilizer. Start with, I mean, this I'll preach this forever. I mean, if you're going to do anything to help with bugs, do the tree and shrub drench. Just start, you know, go from there. But this feels like a lot of product, but you're going to almost need all of it. But it's made for you guys to last long term, not quick solutions. So I just like to throw it out there.
Yes.
You need more here than most places.
Yeah. Thank you, Mackenzie. Again, I apologize. I didn't think I'd spend this much time talking about product in the first half. So, anyways, yeah, as promised, now we'll start talking about some of the plants, because that's what y'all showed up for, right? So, we'll start with the trees. This guy here, the KV plum. Now, you guys have probably seen these all over town. If you ever see a real pretty, kind of small, medium-sized tree, full size, it'll get about 15 to 20 foot tall and wide. You'll see these all over town. It's a very, very popular one. As you can see, it's just starting to come out and bloom. Around town, they're going out in full bloom. What's neat about these, it's a truly ornamental plum, so you really never have to worry about the tiny little crab apples or anything like that. And the foliage on this is that just gorgeous kind of dark purple, almost Merlot color. Very, very popular tree for fantastic reason. It's a hardy tree. We rarely see any issues. And, you know, size-wise, kind of being in that small, medium size range, you can fit this in a lot of places that you say you don't want that 60-foot tall autumn blaze maple or aspen tree. This is great. You can use it for shade. You can put a bench under it. You can do just about anything you want. Just a very popular one. Mm-hmm. Oh. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're good. I've never seen them. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you'll get them some years, not every year. But with how warm we've been, you'll get some prices.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Right, it's not a container, but
Mm-hmm.
you can attest it.
Yeah, yeah. So, oh, sorry. So for anyone who didn't quite hear, these folks say they have 2 of these trees, and they actually did start getting some of those little kind of ornamental fruits on it, which is actually pretty cool. I think a lot of that's kind of contributed to the weather that we've been having. It's been a very warm past 2 seasons. With that, if you do have one of these that's starting to produce a little bit and you don't want it to, we sell a product inside called Florel. That's a ornamental growth inhibitor. So that will help prevent, you know, like the crab apples. If you have one that's, you love your crab apple, but you don't want to be cleaning up those little crab apples every season, you can give it some of that Florel, and that will help prevent. Same thing with the KV plums. So, yes, yeah, it's fantastic stuff. So, anyways, yeah, awesome tree. Again, now is the time. And also, the best time of year to plant a tree, well, the best time to plant a tree was 5-10 years ago, but now is so this time of year, kind of, you know, right as we're starting to warm up, the plants are waking up for the season. Now is the best time of year to get one of these in the ground. For most of these plants, our winter, or kind of this cooler season, is a lot less stressful than the heat of the summer. So you get a tree in now, it's got a couple months to work on getting rooted out, getting established, and just getting acclimated before it meets our, you know, week of 90-degree, 100-degree weather during the middle of the summer. So awesome. Now, this tree, I'm really excited to talk about this one. So this is called the black tulip magnolia. For anyone who didn't see these as you came in, or if you didn't catch a whiff of it, please come up after class, smell these flowers. They are incredible. This time of year, the tree is just starting to wake up. You can see it's got another bloom coming out right over here. And the more you look, the more buds you see. So within another week or so, this whole tree will just be alive with these. And then from there, it starts putting on its foliage. Size-wise, kind of similar to the KV plum. This is going to be relatively small, at least in the realm of magnolias. Looking about 20 feet tall, 10 foot wide when it's full grown. So again, you can use this to kind of complement or fit in with if you have an area that's, you don't have the space for a full-size tree, but you still want a cool splash of color or just something unique. Again, so with these magnolias, we only get a handful each year. It's not a very common tree for us to bring in, and we're only able to bring them in kind of this time of year when the growers have them available. So if this is something you really like, get it while it's good. Otherwise, you may be waiting for next season. So. Oh, yes. So with these, it does prefer a little bit of shade in the afternoon. It can take a decent amount of sun, but if you have an area, say, maybe under a larger tree or north or east side of a larger house, that will help it out a little bit during the the heat of the summer as well as the wind, because wind would grab these big blooms, and we don't want that. We want these around as long as possible. So, and yeah, once these blooms open up, you're looking at 6 inches wide, and the whole tree just erupts with it. It's a spectacular tree, and can't get over the smell. So please, after class, come up. Yes.
Can we go back to that tree over there? And I have a question about how much do you prune? And this is the time to prune. I have 4 of those, but one tree last year did not produce enough flower or the other beautiful leaves there. So,
Yeah, good question. So she was asking about pruning for these trees, which I'll kind of briefly touch on, and then after class I can spend a little bit more time and go deeper into this. But you can prune now. I would try, in a perfect world, I would prune a little bit earlier in the season before these actually start to put off their blooms. And if you ever have one that's not flowering quite as much as you think it should, or it's not putting off as many leaves, a lot of times we see that can be a result of lack of water throughout the winter months. Even though we'd still get some precipitation here throughout the winter, these trees, just about anything you plant here is still going to need a little bit of additional watering. Usually we recommend about once every 2 weeks. And we find that if trees don't get that water over winter, kind of starts it off on the wrong route going into the springtime. And then fertilizing, that will go a long ways to help just with production.
I know we have a little bit of a difference in humidity. We are at 47. And I think right here it says that you're at 55.
Not necessarily, you know, so she was asking, they're out in Chino Valley, just the difference between Chino Valley and Prescott. Just about any day we're well within 5-degree temperature range from Prescott to Chino Valley. So for the most part, you know, we're still so close in location and temperature that I really wouldn't worry. You know, we kind of group this whole area as being the Tri-City area. So, okay, perfect. Last big tree I wanted to talk about, we're moving along. This here is the Alberta peach. As you probably saw coming in, we are alive with fruit trees. Now is a great time of year to get these in the ground along with everything else. But this is a phenomenal one. I mean, just look at it right now. This is the Alberta peach, is one of the most popular varieties of peach for good reason. You get fantastic fruit off of these. Nice thing too, these are self-pollinating trees. So it will grow and produce just fine by itself. That being said, if you do happen to have another peach tree in nearby vicinity, they tend to produce a little bit more. But it will do just fine. You'll still get phenomenal fruit just by one single tree in your yard. So yeah, highly recommend. The majority of fruit trees that we sell here are going to be semi-dwarf, meaning that you're on average, once it's full size, full grown, you should expect to get right around 15 foot tall, about 15 foot wide, kind of within 5 foot of that range. So awesome tree. You can have a full orchard in your yard here in Prescott, which is pretty darn neat. And again, with this, give it some of that 6447. That's our our fruit and veggie fertilizer. That will really, really help with production and just kind of the overall health of the tree. So now, so I was just talking about semi-dwarf trees. I want to talk about a true dwarf tree. So these guys are awesome. You'll see a couple different varieties of these around. We've got, probably 5 or 6 different types of these in peach and nectarine. And what I mean by true dwarf tree, and cherries. Yes, we also have 2 varieties of cherries. Oh, okay. Okay, 1 dwarf variety. So only 2 of those trees left. They do sell quite quickly. So these full size, you're looking about 6 foot tall, 6 foot wide once it's full grown, which makes these awesome for containers. You can do this in a big pot. You can also plant it in the ground. It'll do just fine like that. But with these, for being such a small little tree, you can still get some awesome fruit. This specific one here, the bonfire miniature peach, this peach tends to be a little bit better for culinary uses. You know, if you're a big fan of peach cobbler, that's one of my favorite things. This is an awesome tree to use for that. And then we have a couple other varieties that are a little bit more better suited for just, you know, you pluck it right off the tree and go ahead and eat the fruit. So yeah, these true dwarf trees are fantastic. So peach, nectarine, and cherries. Okay, so now that's kind of the trees out of the way. We'll start talking about some of the shrubs. We'll start off with this big guy right here. This here is called the pink dawn viburnum. As you can see, doesn't look like too much is going on right now, but it's starting to put off these flowers. And this plant, it's a kind of a large shrub, full size, should expect to get right around 10 foot tall, about 6 foot wide, although you can trim it, you know, more or less if you need to. But so this time of year, it's just starting to wake up for the spring, and it is coming alive with all these little blooms. So over the course of the next month, 2 months or so, it will start just pushing all these blooms. And then from there, it'll start to leaf off. Neat thing too about these is in the fall time, you get really, really cool autumn colors, kind of more or less like the autumn blaze maples, just some of the prettier colors associated with fall. So this is a really nice kind of larger shrub, deciduous of course, but this can be a great focal point for anywhere in the yard this time of year. So. Yes, yeah, this will take full sun. And thank you, Mackenzie. That's also something I wanted to mention. I'm going to start with plants that are more full sun, and then we'll get into plants that prefer a little bit of shade in the afternoon, or plants that we consider being shade. So now this guy here, this is fully alive right now. Hopefully y'all are familiar with forsythia. If not, I'll tell you a little bit about it right now. So this is forsythia. This specific one is called the magical gold. There's a couple different varieties of these. Usually the variety kind of corresponds with how large it will grow to eventually. This one here, looking about 5 foot tall, 5 foot wide, kind of right in that range. So nice medium-sized shrub. What's cool about this is it's one of the earliest things in the yard this time of year to start blooming. As you can see, this guy's full bloom, and it will hold these blooms typically. So we got these in about 3 weeks ago. That's kind of right when they start to bloom for the springtime, and they'll hold these all the way up probably another couple weeks. So it's kind of the focal point of the yard. I always recommend if you're planning a landscape or putting in new plants, it's awesome to have plants that bloom throughout different times of year. So as one kind of stops blooming, you have another one start. And with all the plants up here, these are pretty much all kind of early spring bloomers, but this is a great one to start off with. It's awesome to have this splash of color when everything else in the yard just looks like sticks. So, okay. Well, transfer into another bright yellow bloomer. So this here is called the winter jasmine. Kind of a neat story about this one. So 2 weeks ago or so, we had a guest come in, and she had this photo of this mystery plant and was asking for us to identify what it was. The photo in question, it was kind of along a stone stairwell or a large retaining wall, probably about 8-10 foot tall. And there's just this incredible yellow plant just covering this stone, and it looked beautiful. So it took us a couple tries. Some of us were thinking, oh, maybe that's forsythia, and then realized, no, it's the winter jasmine. This plant will you can grow it a couple different ways. You can grow it as a shrub, or as I was saying, you can just let it kind of take over. It can trellis or drape. Really, really unique plant. You can do quite a few different things with it. So very hardy. Again, if you like that early yellow flowering, this is a good one to start with. Okay. And, you know, we're still talking about yellow. So we'll talk about this guy here, or I should say girl. This is the Lady Banks rose. Really, really neat story about this one. You can see it's just starting to wake up for the spring. It's putting off these little yellow roses. So I'll show the camera too. Awesome thing about this rose, it's kind of different from what most folks are familiar with a traditional rose, being that this is evergreen, so it retains its leaves throughout the season. And also, when this flowers, it's only a spring flowering plant, as opposed to traditional roses that usually kind of flower spring through summer, even into the fall. This one pretty much spring, a little bit into the summer, but the largest rose bush in the world. Does anyone know? Yep, exactly. So the largest rose in the world is in Tombstone, Arizona, which is really cool that we get to claim that here, being in Arizona. It's called the Shady Lady, and that's because it's a Lady Banks rose. So the backstory to that, the original cultivar for that plant was brought over from Scotland in 1885, and it has been growing down in Tombstone since. So that's what, 150 years close to. Currently, that rose covers about 8,000 square feet. And it's a canopy, it's all up on trellises, so you can actually walk under it. If you haven't been, I cannot recommend seeing it enough, especially this time of year, because as you can see, they're just starting to bloom. So largest rose in the world. And you can look at this little guy right here. Its trunk down here. Sorry, microphone's going in and out. But we're less than an inch diameter or so. The one down in Tombstone, the Shady Lady, that is 9 to 13 foot diameter trunk, depending on where you measure it. So that being said, I wouldn't expect every single one to get that large, but don't worry. But yeah, it's just a really, really neat rose and a cool part of history, Arizona history, and just a neat plant with a cool backstory. So can't talk about these enough. Right now we've got these in yellow flowering and white flowering. You'll find these all in the lower greenhouse. So, and size-wise, in most of your yards, when it's full size, should expect to see right around 20 foot tall if it's trellis, or expect it to spread about 20 feet. That being said, you can prune it, trim it as much or as little as you'd like. Well, good to hear. It's just such a cool plant. So, okay, switch it up a little bit. So, going into a evergreen shrub, we always get questions here, and it's kind of a running joke among anyone who works in plant industry is folks are always looking for the evergreen plant that flowers year round and doesn't need any water. And there's this big long list. Believe it or not, this plant does check quite a few of those boxes, which makes it phenomenal. It's kind of one of those Goldilocks plants. So this guy here is called the Redbird Indian Hawthorn. It's evergreen. You get to see this beautiful foliage year round. Full size, typically gets right around 6 foot tall, 6 foot wide. So it's a good medium-sized shrub. You can use it in a hedge. You can trim it as much or as little as you'd like. You could do a handful of them. You could use it as a focal point in the yard. Very versatile plant. Neat thing is, as I was saying, this one actually flowers. So you can see these little clusters, kind of whitish pink flowers. And as the spring progresses, it will just continue to come alive with those flowers. So absolutely beautiful. Very, very hardy plant. This can take full sun. I can take a little bit of shade in the afternoon too if you have an area that has a little bit more shade. So awesome plant, Redbird Indian Hawthorn. Got a handful of these. You'll find them kind of right outside of this upper greenhouse. All right. Now, these guys are kind of cool. Looks a little bit funky right now. These are the brooms. Wonder why they're called that. So we have two different varieties. This one is the all gold broom. So this flower is bright yellow. Looks very similar to, say, that forsythia or the star jasmine to my right. Full size, both of these will get about 6 foot tall, 6 foot wide. While I'm talking about it, this one's called the Minstead Scotch broom. You get kind of whitish purple flowers. They are deciduous, meaning that they drop their leaves, but what's cool is they look like this throughout the winter. So you get these real neat kind of dense shoots of green. So it's not just another plant in your yard that looks like a bunch of dead sticks or something. It's still kind of continues looking funky like this. And then springtime, these are just a couple weeks away from coming out in full bloom. Pretty quick growing, again, 6 foot tall, 6 foot wide. So, and full sun. All right. Now, it wouldn't be, oh, sorry. Oh, okay. No, you're good. So,
Talk about our room.
oh, well, there you go.
Awesome.
Yes. Now, wouldn't be a buds to bloom class without talking about lilacs. These are phenomenal. Most folks are familiar with these, especially this one here. This is your common lilac. We also call it grandma's lilac because that's what most of our grandmothers probably grew. This will eventually grow quite large, probably around 8 to 10 foot tall and wide. There are so many different varieties of lilacs. In fact, I'll go into another one here in a second. But this is just the classic traditional common lilac. Beautiful clusters of kind of pinkish purple flowers. The fragrance on these is phenomenal. Just wonderful plant, very hardy. Another kind of cool fact about these, I mentioned there's so many different varieties of lilacs out there. Most of the other varieties or crosses of lilacs, they actually use the rootstock, so it's a graft of a common lilac. So if you have some funky or real unique different variety of lilac, probably still has the same root as this traditional guy right here. So kind of cool fact, phenomenal plant, excellent flowers, and very, very fragrant. Now, the other lilac, this is not your grandmother's lilac. This one is the bloomerang lilac. So as the name implies, bloomerang, like a boomerang, kind of comes back. So this one, it's a lilac just like that, but it should actually produce flowers spring, summer, even into the fall if it's real happy, as opposed to traditional lilacs, which are basically just spring bloomers. You can always help it kind of produce with those blooms, extra fertilizer. You can give it a shot of the flower power to really help it along. But these are really cool. This specific one here, so this is the bloomerang dark purple. This will get about 4 to 6 foot tall and wide, so a little bit smaller than that. Kind of a good medium size and excellent focal point kind of throughout the whole growing season because you get these phenomenal flowers. So really cool plant, full sun with both these lilacs, although they can take some shade or speckled shade if you do have some of that as well. So, all right. Slow start, but we're moving right along. So, perfect. While I'm here, might as well talk about the wisteria. This is another really neat flowering vine, kind of similar to the Ladybank's rose. This is a very, very quick growing one. So if you have a trellis or say a ramada, gazebo, something like that, that you want some real pretty color and maybe something to help attract the pollinators or just something to add a splash of color, wisteria is a phenomenal option. You can see this one is just starting to come alive for the spring. It's putting off all these little, here, try and spin it around for you. All these little clusters of flowers, show the camera there. This is called the white Japanese wisteria. There's a handful of other different varieties. You'll find most of these down in the lower greenhouse. So just a really cool plant, very versatile, very hardy, and very quick growing for folks who are looking kind of for that instant gratification plant. So, okay, let's take a look. I think that, so the wisteria, it will do a little bit better if it has some afternoon shade. Just being here at higher elevation in Arizona, our sun can be quite brutal during the summer. So a little bit of afternoon shade can help, but otherwise it will still take full sun just fine. So yeah, from there, let's see, still on the topic, we'll go just one last guy real quick. Rosemary. I'm sure you all are familiar with rosemary, culinary purposes. Wait for some of the loud vehicles to pass. So this one here is the Huntington carpet variety of rosemary. This is going to be a ground cover. So low growing, typically expect to get around a foot tall, but it will spread about 4 to 6 feet wide. So you can use these in kind of rock gardens. You can use it to cascade down a retaining wall, nearby stairs or pathways. This is a really cool one, and you'll see this one has all these purple, kind of light purple flowers on it. All the ones around town are starting to come out in full bloom right now. So a really pretty plant. They're evergreen, phenomenal for culinary. Also, anything herbaceous usually tends to be pretty good at repelling animals and insects. So this is awesome. You can use it just about anywhere you want. Just a very versatile, hardy plant. Question? Yeah, great question. So she was asking about using this kind of as a ground cover underneath of a existing larger tree, pine tree in her case. Yeah, you absolutely can. This tree will prefer, or sorry, this plant, the rosemary, will prefer, it, it can take full sun. If it gets some speckled sun, it will be okay. But if you notice, maybe it's not getting quite enough sun or it's not producing the flowers quite as prolifically, you can give it some flower power or some fertilizer to kind of help boost it along, just with the, if it's not getting quite enough sun, because they do prefer more sun than less. So, all right. So we're getting short on time. So from now, we'll go into some shade plants, kind of shade flowers. So wanted to start off this guy right here. The flowers on this is phenomenal. Most folks, you're probably familiar with the rhododendron, especially if you've lived anywhere outside of Arizona. They're very common. This specific one, I was doing some research on it because, obviously I want to be well informed about all the plants I'm talking about. This one is called the PJM rhododendron. And I always wondered, what are those 3 letters doing? Turns out in my research, that was actually the name of the gentleman. It was a father and son who ended up creating this plant specifically. This is a cross or a hybridization. And the gentleman's name was Peter John Mezet. It was started in 1945 in Massachusetts. So kind of a cool little fun fact or some neat history about this specific one. This is going to be a shade plant, meaning that it can take a little bit of sun in the morning, but come 11 a.m. onwards, it's going to want shade. 11 to noon, anywhere after that, it really does prefer shade. These are neat because they're evergreen. So you'll always get this nice kind of dark foliage on it. But then spring, even a little bit, maybe into the summer and fall, it can flower again if it's real happy or if you're giving it some extra fertilizer. So yes, they are fantastic plants. This is the prettiest one in my opinion, but that being said, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and there are quite a few different varieties of rhododendrons that we have. You'll find all those in the lower greenhouse here. All right. Now, from there, might as well talk about Pieris. These guys are really neat plants. It's very unique, really cool looking. So here, I'll set the heavy one down and hold the light one. Yes. So these are really cool. This specific one, even though it looks smaller than this one will eventually grow larger. Full size should get about 5 foot wide, about 7 foot tall. Whoever named this had pretty fun time naming it, I assume. This is called the Enchanted Forest Gay Goblin Pieris. So why it's named that, I didn't go into research like the rhododendron, but just a really unique plant, really cool. Yes, yeah, so fantastic. Again, this is going to be pretty happy in the shade. Morning sun, some afternoon shade. She asked if it was a fast-growing plant. I would say relatively. Once it's established, should get probably around a foot of growth per year. So now, its big brother right here, this specific variety is called the Passion Party. Another cool name. So this one, full size, stays smaller than that little one. Let me double check. Yeah, so about 5 foot tall by 3 foot wide. So a little bit smaller, but still just a neat alternative, really unique looking plant to add, kind of spruce up the landscape. All right. Kind of wrapping up. Wanted to talk about hellebores. There's a couple different names. You probably know these by. Hellebore is kind of one of the most common, also called Lenten rose. These are incredible plants. They will bloom pretty much. The earliest ones will start blooming kind of November, December if it's real happy, and they'll bloom all the way up and kind of through March. So really neat plant if you want to introduce flowers to a landscape that's otherwise dead, this time of year. Fantastic. There are a couple different color varieties. We can see we've got the white one right here. This is a Merlot variety, and I believe we have two other varieties. You'll find them right kind of behind you on the shade table. Phenomenal plant. These do really well. You can put them under large existing trees in the shade of those canopies, or you can do, say, east or north side of a house where it gets some of that morning sun, afternoon shade. So fantastic plant. Full size grown, stays relatively small, only talking about 2 foot tall, 2 foot wide. So, all right. That pretty much concludes the larger shrubs. Now I'll just touch on some of the smaller flowers, easy things that you can use to add just that extra tiny little splash of color to containers, or just plant them in a bed or anything like that. So columbine, these are fantastic. They're really, really unique looking flower. If you aren't familiar with these, come up after class and check them out, or we've got a full table kind of right as you're heading down towards the store. A couple different colors these come in. It's state flower of Colorado as well. So really, really cool, unique flower, hardy perennial. So it should come back kind of year after year. So one kind of wanted to wrap up. So as I mentioned, you can use a lot of these kind of smaller plants for containers. I always like to set up containers. I've got a couple large pots in front of my house that I always like to set up, and I always do trios. So 3 plants, kind of a fun way to memorize. Anytime you do a container with annual or perennial flowers, you always want your thriller, your filler, and your spiller. So in this situation, I chose for my thriller, that's going to be the tall one. Typically, it's towards the back. You get some height, just kind of the initial, the plant that draws you in. I chose snapdragons. Snapdragons are awesome plants, very animal resistant. So this, these are just setting in here, but you get the idea. So this guy here is going to be your thriller. This one here shows some real pretty pansies. Look at the color on these. This is going to be the filler. So this kind of the medium height, medium size to go in between. And then for the spiller, you can use just about anything. If you have a large container, you could use, say, Huntington carpet rosemary. For this one, kind of limited on space, so I just chose the English thyme. This is a classic plant, very, very hardy, and it smells incredible. I can smell it just moving around here, and it's making me hungry. So anyways, yeah, thriller, filler, and spiller. Awesome way to get any pot started. So while we're here, last 2 little guys, dianthus. These are awesome perennials, very hardy. You'll find them just a table over from the columbine up here in the upper greenhouse. Really, really pretty. We carry these pretty much throughout the season. A very common plant, just a good, easy plant to grow. So does well in containers, or just planted into the ground if you're using the right soil amendments. So anyways.
Are the other ones perennials? Are those perennials?
The snapdragons? The snapdragons, to my knowledge, I believe it's actually considered an annual, but they are so good about reseeding themselves, they tend to act more like a perennial. I have one large pot right in front of my house. I always put snapdragons towards the back, kind of same story as here. And man, I've still got them going from last October, November. So fantastic. Well, that pretty much concludes the class. So thank you all for showing up. Thank you. Question? Oh, yes. So while everyone's still here, she asked a great question. It's something that I kind of forgot to mention. She was asking about, the storms, because we will inevitably get another storm. Even with the beautiful weather we've had this past week, we're going to get more cold snaps. Our kind of average last frost date here in Prescott or Tri-City area is Mother's Day, which is mid-May. So if we do get another cold snap, and we consider a hard freeze as 27 degrees or below, if we get something like that, highly recommend using some frost cloth. This is really good stuff. It's a breathable, thin material, but it's just enough to help insulate, to protect the buds and the blooms on all the trees that you've worked so hard to get these buds and blooms going on. So frost cloth is really good to kind of help out. So, another question. Good question. So she asked about if the products that make the bugs go away, if it will make the ladybugs go away. It's kind of a hard way to answer it. So it can, although what's nice about the ladybugs is you can actually use ladybugs to make the other bugs go away. The ladybugs are really good at eating aphids and other plant or other tiny little insects in your garden. So I believe, I should double check on this, but I believe that one ladybug can eat up to 60 aphids. So ladybugs are phenomenal at helping keep the other bugs away. So if you want, you can just bring in ladybugs to act as the bug preventer. So. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and here, at this point, we're kind of past the class. So from now, we'll shut off the live stream. And for anyone who's got questions,